We doing masks on or off?
That's the question of the day. Are we doing masks on or off? That's what everyone's trying to figure out for their lives.
I don't know. Is it gonna sound?
I'm putting it on just because I'm trying to state in history where we're at here. Just for my own mentality. We gotta take it off.
I just, for hype's sake.
Before we get into Corona 2.0, though, you were talking about Space Jam. Something you're excited about. Something
it's just,
gonna get better
it's
in
culture. Culture. Me, pop culture, that kind of shit. I can't not. I gotta be involved in the pop culture in some way. It's two of my favorite things. There is no basketball right now, so it's LeBron James, and then no basketball. So and then Space Jam, which is a classic.
I mean, it's certainly an amazing time to be a culture vulture.
Yeah, right. No time like the
couch.
present. No time like the present.
Matt, thanks for coming over.
Hey, thanks for having me.
21st episode.
Yeah.
Glad we finally made it happen. Had a number of technical difficulties that have arisen from shooting outside.
I was gonna say, shooting outside is a whole new beast, so you gotta prepare for that.
Just now we were picking up some radio waves from the aliens who I can only assume who have flown down to 15 feet above our purview here.
The ancient ones, the ones who are now watching us, being like, "Wow, these guys are wearing masks now all of a sudden." You know, very wild.
Every week I'm gonna come up with a ridiculous population I think could be watching us live. At any one moment.
Yeah.
It's a practice, they're watching us.
What if we're the first transmission that somehow gets out there, and they see that's the first thing they see is us. Us jabronis.
The way this Corona shit's going, we might be the last transmission that makes it out there. I tried to show off my Corona haircut a little bit, but the sun is just killing me. I've been setting up outside for a while. I just had to put it back on.
Put the hat on.
But I got the home cut, not even done. The back needs to be faded a little.
Oh, very nice, nice.
But life moves on.
Yeah, you looked less of like your dad today when I saw you, and because when the first time I saw you, and it was like that total quarantine hat. It just looked. I was like, wow, that's totally his dad. But
it's shocking to leave quarantine to start seeing people again for the first time.
It's weird.
It's a big deal.
As I was saying on my way here, traffic was out of control. I feel like today.
Yeah. So for context, today's May 2nd.
May 2nd.
It's 2 weeks since we shut a podcast.
420, May 2nd.
Yeah, it's 420 number 2 is what it's known as. No, but you came over here on the first day where it's really 70 degrees. It's nice, and people are leaving their homes. You don't live that far away. Normally, what's the drive over here? How many minutes is it?
Depending on the time of day.
Normally meaning shitty traffic, by the way. Normally meaning way too many people on the streets.
Yeah, it takes me about 25 minutes, half hour to get here. You know what I mean? Like if it's a good day, I can get here in 20 minutes, just right down Northwest Highway and all that. But today, there was street was shut down. You know what I mean? There's it closed on I'm terrible streets.
Were they working on the street like the potholes, or was it a coronavirus treatment center?
Yeah, right.
Temporarily popped up.
I think they were just doing a lot of infrastructure work because there's not so much traffic. So they literally just closed down the road, and I was like, fuck. So it took me a long time to get out, and because of that throughway was closed. The traffic was going through another direction. So everyone was out, and the weird thing was people in their cars. It didn't look like their quarantine bubble. People looked like they were with their friends. You know what I mean?
That's you had you pick
something up.
I wanted to hear demographics.
I wanted to hear
what percentage of the people on the street are wearing masks, what percentage were not.
I'm seeing a lot less masks on the street.
Because now, as of yesterday, it's like a law, right? Like J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, they're forcing us to wear masks.
You got to wear masks.
In public places where you can't keep that 6-foot distance, which based on the clown car situation you come across, doesn't sound like they're keeping their 6 feet.
That's what I'm saying, right? There's no way. Those are two friends that are of 20 years old, two girls, and they were friends, and they were just laughing and joking, and I'm like, there's no way they've been quarantining together for the last 14 days. One of them picked up the other one, and you know what I mean?
I guarantee you people are thinking the same thing watching us do this, though.
Absolutely.
That we're not keeping quarantine.
I had a couple of questions, and I was like, no, we've been 6 feet the whole time, the whole time almost, Well, besides when we give each other a little kiss when we see each other, but other than that,
Actually, the closest I got is I handed you a coffee.
That was what I was thinking.
I handed you a coffee. I wanted to be wearing my mask. One of the other reasons I had the mask, besides the visual for the pod, is I wanted to wear a mask if I had to break the 6 feet. I wanted to follow the rules.
Right.
Keep in mind, this is my backyard. It's private property, so you can't tell me what the fuck I'm doing that way. But besides the whole rage against the machine thing, I just had to spout there.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I think it's good that people are wearing masks. I'm still seeing plenty of traffic outside my house. The one thing I didn't do right is good at a cam on the street, so that as we talk about stuff, if we want to reference the community, we have a community cam.
Community cam, that would be cute.
I'll do that for the next episode.
Just a shot of the school, people walking by,
Something. There's a playground over there. Maybe we can just do. We can stream footage from the playground. That, or we could stream footage from something we can actually see out here.
Yeah.
Just so if you hear a plane go by, I can show the plane in the sky.
Overhead, that's great.
That actually might be more useful since I live by O'Hare.
It's very interesting. This when the weather gets nice, and it's been what, almost 2 months now. You're seeing the stir crazy. You're seeing humans want to get out and be humans, right?
I do think this is the moment where it starts to break open, and I did want to have a specific conversation about that, like how you feel about it, because obviously one day we're going to be looking back thinking about our decision-making process here, like how could you be so conservative, or how could you be too intense, maybe shutting down the economy so that people can't go to work. Maybe we overreacted.
I
right?
saw that. There's like a picture that showed like the different charts, like what would have happened if we did not do anything. What would have happened if we would have done just a little bit.
This is a chart of people getting coronavirus,
yes,
dying from coronavirus.
Right, like the steps we've taken, right? So it's like the no mitigation, what we've done, and it's basically a kind of a joke because it says we're at that point where everyone thinks we've overreacted because we flattened the curve and everybody did the things that we're supposed to be doing, and then so it's like this is where we are, and it's like everyone's like, well, we overreacted, and it was just we've done too much, and I can't believe we shut down the economy, but
I think the real answer that in some parts of the country, the answer is true that they overreacted, but in a lot of parts of the country, specifically the ones with the most populated densities, whatever,
the urban areas,
we have not overreacted, and we need to act this way. I mean, we live in Chicago, so we live in a populous, dense area.
Yeah.
Bill de Blasio of New York recently said, don't give up yet.
Right.
Don't get crazy yet.
No. What was it? Pritzker said
we're being interrupted by a motherfucking plane above us. From the sound of it sounds like American Airlines is making a little bit of money up there. Can you see?
Wow,
it's a Delta plane. Actually, that was a Delta plane.
Shouldn't they be bankrupts right now? I caught it.
That motherfucker was close. Bye Delta. Bye. No, but I mean, things are still moving to some degree. Yeah. Obviously, they can't stop to some degree.
They can't. But like you said, it's in urban areas. It's mostly in these areas where people are on top of each other.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 Illinoisians or whatever the name is are Illinoisians.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 are from by Chicago that are uninfected. It's in the populous places. That's the numbers. So it's like
that's
maybe
enough, though.
Maybe downstate they're like I can't believe we shut everything down. But I think like you said, in hindsight we're gonna look back and it's gonna be a little bit easier too. But hey, if this spikes again in the fall, like they're saying, and you know what I mean, like it doesn't go away, we don't get that herd immunity quick enough.
People's mentalities have already come and go with waves and with the wind, it seems. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we change our opinion and minds 10 times about how this is all going to be carried out.
It's true.
Before then. Yesterday, Arpit and his wife Sam, they were biking by. Just coincidence. They're just out dying, to get some air. Sam actually just bought a bike. They're about to start biking now, I guess, periodically as a way to stay sane. It's been a long time trapped indoors.
Absolutely.
But we just randomly ran into him. I was like my best friend. All of a sudden, I'm seeing outside my house. I'm so compelled to run up to this person, hug them, kiss them. Obviously, did not do that. I was wearing a mask. He was wearing a mask. I was cutting the grass, taking care of business. He was out, keeping his appropriate distance from everyone. Cars that drove by, we all, of course, dove out of the way, make sure we didn't
absolutely
get within aerospace of any being. No, but I yesterday I bring up this story about me running into him because there are these natural moments that now come up. Maybe you're biking, you're keeping your normal distance, you're following the rules, but then you have the opportunity to break it a little.
Yep.
You get invited indoors, you get handed something. There's an opportunity for you to break it. Post-May, I think people are starting to break that.
People are,
and I think we're going to be in trouble.
Yep.
And I don't want to be alarmist or whatever, but I don't see how we're not going to get confident at the top of that flattened curve like you were saying.
Yeah, you're absolutely. Ironically, same thing. Yesterday, we're going for a walk, and a couple of family friends that Clem's goes to school with, we passed by their house. They came out of their garage, and we talked.
There you go.
And it was not quite 6 feet. We're trying.
Whoa.
I mean, because they came out and we're just, it was like 5 feet. It was like 5-6 feet. You know what I mean?
Why didn't you just back up?
We did. We kept backing up, but just when you're talking and you just stop, you were like, oh, and then you realize and you back up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like
your natural desire for intimacy.
Yes,
you
or
just gravitate toward
forgetting. Everyone's just so excited to talk to somebody. You could tell we were all excited to see and talk and do that kind of thing.
It is a genuine yearning.
And then it's like, and then you think, and then you rationalize. I think a lot of people rationalize. That's what I've been doing.
There you go.
Well, I've been inside for 14 days, and you guys have been inside for 14 days, and how many times have you really broken quarantine? You know what I mean? You kind of start balancing, and you're like, well, okay, not so bad.
You start doing bubble math with people.
Yes, bubble math. Oh man, that's the term now.
See, they got that one leak in that relationship with the roommate's boyfriend there.
Yeah, but it's not so bad. I can kind of.
But the rest are shut-ins, so. No, I mean,
That's how you do it. You're juggling. You're juggling. And I think, like you say, more people, the average person, you think of the dumbest person, people are dumber than that, right?
Absolutely.
Those people are going to be like, whatever, I'm just going to go give them a hug. And, you know what I mean?
49% of people are dumber than average.
Yeah,
I'll say it 49 times on this podcast before enough people hear that.
And we've seen the protesters and all this stuff and these people that are I don't know if they're making the right choices for themselves.
We brought those people up last time, the Liberty people, and those voices haven't gone away in the last 2 weeks.
I feel like they've gotten louder.
And to be honest, they've gotten louder, and I mean, that's just the body politic. That's how it goes. I think, politics, like anything, is based on genetic factors. Whether you're conservative-minded, liberal-minded, whether you're orderly or whether you're open.
I think a lot of it too is where you
safety versus freedom.
Lay your hat too. Where are you in the society? Are you in a rural area? Are you in a big urban area where you're with a lot of people? Do you know what I mean? Like, how many people a day do you see that are different from you? How many are the same? Is it a big group speak? Is it a big group think that you're in, or are you surrounded by different personalities and different opinions, and you're able to grow with those people around you? You know what I mean?
Do you work at a hospital?
Yeah.
Are you a stakeholder?
Yes.
Are you a stockholder? Everyone has a different amount of skin in the game. And
one thing I do want to say about the protesters really quick as an aside, I think it's super interesting the level in which they get to be militant and aggressive with their protesting versus other areas of protesting. I saw when they were entering the
I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. What happened exactly?
The Michigan State House, where armed members of the protest in like full military regalia, IR-15s, marching into the state capitol building.
I'm ignorant to say I didn't see that.
Yeah, like that kind of shit. You're seeing a lot of that where there's, and even...
I saw that there were protests. There were like freedom protests.
And even if there's a handful of people with guns,
in my mind, of course. I didn't know it already got to AR in the State House level.
That's where it's at. These people that are doing this are extremely aggressive.
Whoa.
They see it as an attack on their constitutional rights, right?
If your
what do you think of yourself as a freedom fighter, right?
I was gonna say, if your identity is seated in that of you being someone who's free, if you are the bald eagle in your imagination,
in your mind,
then how
right?
could you be caged? How could you have a caged eagle? It just doesn't add up with people.
No, it's just that whole segment of this protest and this
big
this
swaths of land that no one inhabit, that have low density. Obviously different perspective from
more free.
Bill de Blasio.
Yeah, bringing your Nazi flags to a freedom protest is just ridiculous.
It's like that too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well,
it's just wild to me. It's just wild.
It's just a continuation of some of those other movements that have coalesced in the last few years.
Yeah.
Post-Trump. Your bubble math, I brought it up.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you broke the rules yesterday. 5.5 feet is what I heard on tape.
Okay. Yeah. I guess you got me on record.
HD
it was full HD 4K. I might have, it was questionable.
Mayor Lightfoot, if you want the coordinates from Matt at any one time, let me know.
The meme queen, Mayor Lightfoot. Let's just go ahead and say that.
Actually, I think that's a great example of where true power lies, is if you can create a meme like one of these images of like Lori Lightfoot looking upset if people are hanging out in a park, right? And that can actually change people's behavior. That's the kind of shit that's crazy to me. Yep. 5 minutes in Photoshop changing people's minds 500% more than something dry, than a leaflet. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I think those graphics are a big deal.
And how much more is it more like humanizing for her, right? How humanizing is it to see somebody that's able to like laugh at themselves and be in on the joke? Right? It's not the joke is on you. I'm in on the joke.
Lori Lightfoot needs that because she's never been known to be like that.
Right, exactly.
Happy-go-lucky or whatever.
She's very...
Not that I think we need that necessarily at this time, for our leader. I think we specifically don't. But, spoonful of sugar type thing, people have always wanted that from her.
I'm just saying it's very nice to feel like, oh, she's a human being. Like, it's like somebody that cares about us. It's not like, you know what I mean? I think, we have a lot of people right now.
Lori Lightfoot beats the hell out of Lori Loughlin, just paying to get her kids into school. Last I checked, Lori Lightfoot did not pay to have her child get into Harvard.
That's far. Can we get a fact check on that?
Yeah.
I'm
Let's
pretty
pull it
sure.
up.
I'm pretty sure.
Let's pull it up. We got someone in my neighbor's yard So neat. Pull it up.
There's just a huge web of guys on computers over there.
Honestly, though, I'm so getting a projector. I'm spoiling some surprise a little earlier. Don't give a fuck. No one's going to listen to this anyway. I'm going to blast this projector on this building eventually for numerous things. I wanted to do this since last year.
Yeah.
But now that we only can hang out outside, which, by the way, if no one's realized it yet, 2020, you will spend literally all your time outside. From here on forward.
6 feet apart
until
outside.
We're afraid about Corona in the fall again. That's exactly how it's going to go. My prophecy for the summer, every single minute is going to be outside.
I would agree with that. I
Every
would absolutely agree with
fucking
that.
minute.
And then again, rationalizations. People are, well, we're outside, so it's okay, right? You know what I mean? That was another thing. It's like, well, we're outside and there's wind and it's fine, you know. But if we're indoors and it's 6 feet, you know what I'm saying? You know,
I do know what you're saying.
the
but
mental gymnastics you get around to try to like.
It is, but it's really something, because in the same way people usually use the wind to say, oh, that's blowing the germs away, the wind could blow the germs towards you. You know,
Right up in that nose.
This selective processing where we assume that, you know, every hand of cards that we play ends up going in our favor is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You know, the idea that, yeah, I'm not going to wear the mask totally correctly. I'm not going to change out the coffee filters, you know, that I put in there. I'm not going to do this.
It's going to be them. It's not me.
Yeah, I think too much of that's going to definitely get us in some trouble. I think that's how we're wired. Otherwise, you drive yourself crazy being paranoid all the time. But
that's how we're wired.
You got to watch your biases.
Yeah.
Especially in a time like now.
But could you imagine?
Really, only in a time like now. Most of the time, you can just enjoy yourself. But there are extenuating circumstances in certain occasions. Now being one of them.
Yeah. Could you imagine though if you felt like I feel like if we had leadership that was maybe more on the same page with everything and not so separate. Well, we got to stay indoors and we got to stay. Well, actually, we got to open the economy and like I feel like you have.
I think that's how the human brain is, though.
You think so?
I think you're just watching it manifest on screen, you know, and even the people themselves, like the ones that are taking a position, you know, staking a point, you know, fervently talking on camera. I think a lot of times sometimes they're trying to figure it out as they go along.
Yeah.
How they're supposed to mesh what they just said with what the very real person in front of them has to say, you know, with the opposition point. So I think anytime.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing the headlines go back and forth. It's just the you know, what's in all of us. Like, should I go outside right now or should I hunker in the basement with my Evian water and never leave?
I think too, though, it's part of the polarization of this country in general. You know, it's just the continued polarization of, well, if they think this, then I got to think the opposite, right? Like,
sure.
You know, I feel like that's part of it too.
Tribal thing.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is tribalism. The continuation of our already extreme tribalism in this country. You know, oh, well, those you know. You know,
I want to go back to bubble math because I think that's a major thing.
That is, you're right.
And I want to take serious predictions on it moving forward, and I want to see how we're right in the next week or two if we get a chance to shoot another one of these. But in addition to the bubble math, I want to also do other elements of the corona phenomenon. In addition to other non-corona things. You said you wanted to do some non-corona talk this time, right?
No, I can't. Yes, of course. But
no, yes. See, this is the thing. This is the back and forth I was talking about.
Yeah, everything ties together with corona right now, right?
Part of me wants to talk about
the lens.
Part of me does not want to talk about it.
The lens of our world right now, you know, when we talk about like, you know, this being, you know, podcast, video diary, you know, talking about like, this is what's in our right, like to not talk about it. It's like
it's disingenuous.
As
I agree.
much as I wish we could, like, I want to talk about other things and kind of shift it, like, you know, but you can't, right? You can't. It's gonna go back to that, right? It is. That's the most important thing in my life right now is bubble math, right? Who's gonna bring my quarantine?
Trademark, by the way, on that bubble math.
Yeah, no, that's a new term right there. People, I feel like, ooh, that's like the new fake news term right now. Fake news, bubble math. You know, how is my bubble compromised? You know, am I gonna be able to make my bubble bigger? You know,
bubble math, by the way, is the name of my future award-winning app on the App Store that you can download.
There we go.
Use geodata with your Find My Friends app to ensure that your bubbles are keeping their cleanliness that they should.
You just get in a phone, your bubble is shattered. You know, you showed up at Jewel, your bubble is shattered today. You know,
I should do that. Okay, I'm either going to do the Bubble Math app on the App Store, so it's not product I have to move. I don't have to worry about shipping logistics. I just have to learn how to code, I don't know, and release it in the next day or two.
Code.
But so before someone rips this off, that or secondary business idea, I want you to tell me which one I should go after. A second option is I'm going to make bubble snow globes for Christmas. So I got about 6 months to figure out who everyone's bubble is.
Right.
Custom make a snow globe with that family or that group's bubble in it.
Get real cheap. Just throw a picture in there. Here's your quarantine bubble.
Oh shit! Actually, I should do something like that.
Dude, super cheap.
Use a 3D printer. mixed with software that like pulls someone's Facebook profile pictures. So you can
So-
automatically generate what happens in the.
You do both ideas. You do both ideas because both are money makers. The app, you farm that app out to some coder who's like, okay, show me how to get everyone's geodata. You know, if they download the app, you know what I mean. Like, you can right. You got to get somebody to do that. But that snow globe idea, you know, when we're in the winter time, looking back on this, and you can give somebody memento of their quarantine time and their quarantine partners. But then you could be a real jerk off and give somebody that like a snow globe with them by themselves in it. You know.
Okay, this ties to another idea I have. Just a single snow globe?
Yeah,
The person by
just
themselves?
by themselves with a bottle of lotion.
I was
you know?
going to say this as a surprise. You know, I'll just go ahead and blow it now. But what was going to happen with the snow globes due to this technology, this 3D printing whatnot technology we're going to incorporate, this tech. I'm going to put a Raspberry Pi in the snow globe. All my inventions have Raspberry Pi. Big stockholder in Raspberry Pi. But what I'm going to do with the snow globe is as this winter, next winter, 2021, as you start killing each other in a cabin fever-like environment, one person gets removed from the snow globe when they get murdered in the house.
Very good.
That's how we're going to really make money.
Very
Is
good.
people going to enjoy the initial product? Oh, look, good time, snow globe, my bubble. But then really, as people start to murder one another,
It's really like a
They'll
kill
be
list.
removed from the
It's a
globe.
kill list.
Yeah.
You can just check off that person, and then you're last man standing. The globe is mine, you know?
and then when you do the snow at the end and the flurries are coming down, the flakes turn to red.
I was going to say it's blood. It's got to
Yeah.
turn to blood, of course. Of course.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
You
like
know,
that.
I
wanted to bring the business ideas in just to have
just,
something
you
normal
know, we gotta-
podcasts, but that aren't full Corona.
Thank you. Not full Corona. We can't go full Corona. No, yeah, we just have to though. We just have to.
Yeah,
I think that's what people want to listen to. I think that's what people, you know what I mean, are most concerned about.
I'm not sure because I'm also getting the sense from my discussions with people that we're getting at that line, are we going left, are we going right in terms of do I hunker down and watch news some more? Do I become a fully informed citizen or do I start going and escaping? Do I stop rather feeding myself this constant stream of, you know, anxiety when it at the end of the day it's not serving me, assuming I'm not going out and socially
I am
screwing myself.
firmly addicted to the news. I cannot not have the news stream like
So right-
injected right into my
I was going to
veins.
say right now you're still mainlining
I have
the
to.
news.
I have to.
Okay.
I don't know why I've always been like that, but now we're in a situation where it's even more outrageous.
I have not always been like that. A few years ago, actually, I totally disconnected from watching the news to the point where I was not watching news. Like I didn't know what was happening on some things.
PBS NewsHour every day.
Which
I watch it
apparently
every
is
day.
still the case based on that Michigan AR story you told me earlier.
You
But
know-
I haven't been fully mainlined, but I've been tapped in with the Corona cycle and then also well before it.
There's a fine line, right? The other night, you know, I have a pretty vicious phone addiction right now. I feel like, you know what I mean. And I was just the other night I was going
Give me
through.
stats.
I don't want to. It's embarrassing. I just feel like I've
Give me
been
percentages up or down.
up.
You're
way
getting
up. Way
have
up.
you just been going up and up and up each week? Your iPhone's
No,
like, what the fuck's wrong with you? What the fuck's wrong with you?
No, but it got to a point where I feel like it was like, really, dude? You know, like it was just like, really? But you know,
I went down, and then up huge one week, and I could not figure out what the hell happened that week.
before the Rona, I was very low. My screen time was like, you know, very low. And then I got out of work, and then, you know, I've been home a lot more, and so it just, I feel like I've been on it more, you know.
Your phone screen time, right? Or general?
Phone screen time, but then, you know, like searching for news, right? Like the next, you know, and then you get that brain where you're looking for the next hit of information, right?
Yeah.
You want more details, you want more stuff to like put the puzzle pieces together of whatever this puzzle is, right? You know, do you just want to know more information about, you know, where this is going and then there's like the details around it, right?
News detail dopamine.
Yeah.
The search for truth.
Yeah, right. And then you feel like, but then there's other stories about like, you know, Kim Jong-un, whether he's alive or dead. You know,
Yeah,
and
that man died and came back to life in the
Right.
time we podcasted
right?
last.
Can you like? But that ties into everything, and then there's panic about that. So then you get in, and then you start looking about all this North Korean leadership hierarchy structure. So then you're going down that lane, but then you pull back because then you hear about, you know, there's just so much.
Can we quickly do that? Since you've done some research, it sounds. Can you regale the world on the North Korean power structure? I'm not going to go too deep.
No,
but
no,
I
no.
want to hear a couple things. I
There's-
heard that his sister was supposed to take over.
Yeah, they
but
basically
people are misogynists
Yes, that's the whole problem with,
around her or something, and they
Yes.
don't want it.
So it seems like she's a pretty brilliant lady she's like, from what I was reading, she's like kind of of an intelligence person. She's like kind of she has a minor position in the propaganda
I
department.
was gonna say brilliant, but still evil, or no?
You know, I don't know. Yeah, probably, right? She's probably not. See, that's whatever. The whole
At a
North
certain point, I'm gonna start qualifying that if people want to be geniuses or they want to be brilliant, you have to see the overall good picture.
you have to be good.
Because I do think the word, I think the world overall is getting better and is good. I think that's why humans have progressed to the level at which we have. Literacy rates, hunger, you name it.
Yeah.
But these evil geniuses, I think they're broken.
Yeah.
I think even if his sister is super brilliant, if she's working for the North Korean propaganda machine, she's fucked up. This is the screw loose.
It's true. And I think it's interesting.
Power corruption, of course, right? Like maybe she just has the most to gain. I mentioned having skin in the game, power of incentives earlier.
It's
But
interesting
still,
they were all educated though in like Switzerland, right? They all had Western educations, and then you go back and then you're just these like despots, right? You're just these maniacs, right?
Yeah, it's like those photos of Osama bin Laden taking bong hits in America.
Right.
Before he was an Al-Qaeda.
Weird
It
aside.
didn't exactly have. I can't remember what the photos were, but it was him like in college here, wasn't it?
Weird aside that I was just reading something about Osama bin Laden, and they were saying it was a thing like, hey, could you imagine? There's a chance that you've played a video game with a murderer if you've ever played multiplayer, and then somebody brought up how
No shit.
Osama bin Laden, like, you mean the odds are if you play multiplayer games, you probably played with a murderer. Somebody brought up how Osama bin Laden used to play Counter-Strike offense or a CS:GO basically.
Oh God.
And he was very big into it. And when they broke into his compound, they found all of these video games that he used to play. Like, he was a hardcore gamer guy. Like, he played like the original Half-Life. I guess he was playing Animal Crossing. Legit, he was an
Fuck
Animal Crossing
you.
fan.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. They found these games like in his, like hovel, and he was like a gamer guy. But which is super interesting.
I'm sorry, the Animal Crossing one really hits home, especially
Isn't
people now. Imagine that shit. The ones playing New Horizons
Isn't
right now.
it right now? Like,
Good
oh my God,
God.
could you imagine? Like, Osama bin Laden like comes to your island and hangs out,
No, just to me that it feels like it should be indicative of someone who sees the light.
which is
If you
like a
can see
nice
the
person.
light.
A nice person, a person that's like, oh well, I can play Animal Crossing. There's a love in my heart.
I don't even give a fuck if someone's nice. I want someone to at least be able to understand why someone else would want to pursue that Animal Crossing. Why someone else would want to play that game. Or be in that life. To be one of those little furry magical creatures.
Where they just want to be your friends, and you got, what I
pulling
mean?
carrots out of the ground.
Yeah, right. But like, it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. That.
Very, very much so. Did you think he was dead, Kim Jong-un?
Oh yeah, so yeah, that was weird. I was like, well, where would you go? I don't know. I don't know. I think there was a time. What was it?
I mean, I thought he was gone, and I still do to some degree. That's just too long. It's just.
Well, there's
a famous. They used to give there's good examples for people who used to have radio shows. They used to say, don't take a few days off of your job because if the new guy who fills in for you does better than you, you just lost your radio show.
You're out.
You just lost your radio show. It's kind of like that for being a world leader.
Yes, except the fact that the North Koreans, he's God to them. So it's not like, the whole structure of North Korea is he is their deity/leader. So it's not like he's like him and his father and his grandfather. They're worshipped to the level of like gods.
Right.
So it's not like somebody can just stop in.
It's not just the Pledge of Allegiance Monday through Friday. It's the church service on Sunday.
That's why everyone over there is freaking out because the generals can't just be like, oh, well, I'm a general so-and-so and I'm the guy now. It's like, no, you've built this whole system around this family being these ultimate people. That's why his sister is so important right now.
Every time they want to make a major theological change, they need like a new book or they need some new source material to draw from to say like this is what happened. So they're just writing the book now, where like they make one of the generals the new god, and they're like, we found the new prophecy.
Well, they update. That's what they do. They update.
And you have to hold it up.
Structure. They they like, oh well, this guy's got these promotions, and now they're elevated, and look at how good they are to the society, blah blah blah. But it's also so much of it's propaganda, right? It's all propaganda and re-education, right? So if you fuck up, they send you to the re-education camps, and then you're basically in slave labor for a while until they, you get your shit together for them.
Oh, I was thinking about North Korea very recently as it relates to how I'm afraid they're going to start making Americans snitch on each other as it relates to this bubble math conundrum.
Well, you saw that was happening in LA, right?
No.
Like Gavin Newsom. That was a big controversy in LA where they were coming out. LA and in England. Except in England, it was more like the police were like, we're watching you. If you guys aren't doing it, we're going to come and get you. There was like an ad that said like, we're in the shadows watching you, and it pissed people off. But Gavin Newsom said the same thing. I think it was Gavin Newsom or who's the governor of California, and I believe
a lot of people like Gavin Newsom. Most evil name for a supposedly good guy
and
I've ever heard in my life.
He looks like an evil CEO too.
Most evil name.
He looks like a straight up evil CEO.
And I'm speaking as someone with three names. So James Smith grad, and I'm a serial killer
straight
type
up
name
murder
person.
name.
So I speak as someone who understands his plight.
He definitely said, like, yeah, you should be turning in your neighbors or something, like, to lie. And it was like,
history doesn't understand anything.
And everyone's like, what are we in fucking, the USSR?
Yeah, I believe seriously in having systems in place to keep people safe. Public health. I would maybe even go to public health as a career. I love healthy public people. People just healthy. I want that. But
healthy people make better choices.
You cannot start a precedent where people are snitching on each other.
No.
And my Bubble app, which obviously is going to go straight to #1 on the App Store, is not going to be a nefarious player in this game. Of course, we'll have a snitching section on there.
Sure.
But that's just for the shareholders.
Yeah,
that's like a thing.
It's not going to, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a lot of bugs in the snitching area.
The data is personally going to be kept by me. Okay, I personally will keep the data. Okay, so don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it.
What was it, that thing Mark Zuckerberg said at the beginning? These fucking idiots are just giving me their data, right? What was it? Why do they trust you? I don't know. They're idiots, right? Remember that one?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's like one of the early Facebook quotes from him. It's like, these people are just giving me their information.
If I was going to quote early Facebook, I think the best I could do for you is move fast and break stuff. I know that used to be a major one for them.
Oh.
Speaking of...
they broke a lot of shit, am I right?
Speaking of tech mantras, do no evil. The Google one?
Used to be.
Yeah. You know Eric Schmidt, who was working over at Google? Eric Schmidt?
No.
No?
No?
He's leading Google.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Trying to think what was he the CEO? He must have been the CEO. Yeah.
Him and the
when
one dude,
Sergey
right?
and
yes, Sergey.
Yeah, when they stepped aside, yeah, he was like the business person. I don't know. He used to work somewhere at Microsoft or some shit.
Maybe.
I'm thinking of Steve Ballmer. Fucking this all up. Anyway, Eric Schmidt, major Google leader for many, many years, stepped down as chief executive last year, to my understanding. And in the last 4 or 5 years, actually, he's been like a liaison with the military's technology. He's been helping the military industrial complex's tech. He basically just went, soaked up all our data. You just mentioned our personal, data info from Google, took all that institutional knowledge and experience, and is just enriching the U.S. military complex. Well, how do you feel about that?
That's where, the money is.
The do no evil Google. All their fucking power.
They removed that out of their mission
going
statement.
straight to the... They did.
They did.
And then right after that...
That's when all the shit happened,
he basically full-time goes to becoming a contractor there.
It's not surprising.
Fucking hilarious timing.
It's not surprising. That's where money is. That's where... If you want to continue on your road to control, right, which is... You know what I mean?
Part of the reason I bring it up is because I think the argument there is better he gives the military secrets to us. He helps out military data in the U.S. versus another country, right?
Well, that's
we're the good guys, quote unquote. I bring this up because of Gavin Newsom. He's the good guy, making you stay at home, making you snitch on your person. You just have to stay mindful of this sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
Where that institutional line should be exactly.
It's hard. Where do you draw the line? Look at all these people that are challenging, right? You saw in Illinois the one representative challenged the law of the stay-at-home order, so the judge put the injunction in, right? Like, so he's challenging these laws. He's like, how can these people have this much power? Do they really have this much power?
I think that's just naturally how the system is supposed to work.
It's supposed to work that way. I agree.
It's just meant up, like, you throw the lawsuit, then I'll do the appeal, then you'll do this, then you'll do that.
Right. That's the part of the judicial, right?
It's supposed to be slow-moving.
Balance.
It's supposed to
balance.
Be so that, we're sort of protected. Nothing can change that drastically. Looking at how you do it personally as an individual, like, how are you considering your bubble? Because I know when you were first coming over here, even 2 weeks ago, to do the outdoor version, trying to be safe.
We had a pretty lockdown bubble then.
We were talking, that's the thing. You were evaluating my bubble, right?
Sort of.
You talked to me, where have you been?
Yeah.
I talked to you, kind of got where you were.
I was confident.
Now it's about to get fuzzy. So I'm going to ask, have you been vetting people? Like when you talked to your neighbors yesterday, you had your 5.5 foot distance.
That was the thing.
Did you turn
as we were
and
talking, I said, hey, how you guys been doing? And he's like, yeah, I've been furloughed. We've been in here for, like, they've been by themselves. They have not seen anybody, They said the most that they've been out was, like, taking drives, right? So maybe right away when we see, that was the thing too interesting, is like when you first see people, you say, how are you doing, right? And I think a lot of that is like, oh, well, how's your quarantine been, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's a way to judge someone.
To gauge. Oh, well, they're okay. So, like, I don't need to make sure this, like, play hard and fast with the freaking, the distancing rule, right? It's
so you think the first thing that comes out of their mouth, it's people trying to suss out and determine how risky are you?
Yes. I think right now it is.
God damn.
I was telling you, my mom was outside and, Clementine hugged my mom, right? And
Right.
my mom was like, oh my God, people are watching and judging me, right? Because I think that's part of it too, is people are don't
watching the podcast. Heard that story?
Oh, no. When we were outside, but yes.
Oh, I was going to say, no one's watching the podcast, so there's nothing to worry about there.
But it's more like, like if just like people walking down the street, and they hug, and you know what I mean? Like, because even when I was talking to my neighbors, and it was pretty much 6 feet, people were still looking at us, judging us. Oh, these are lingering talkers. You know what I mean? You feel the judgment, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like your initial talk when you see somebody is, oh, can I trust you? Where are you on the level? How serious are you about your bubble?
But dude, I'm saying that question can't be answered in the same way anymore because
you're right.
Arpit and Sam, I ran into them yesterday. Oh, how you been?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Me too. Yesterday,
I'm seeing this motherfucker in the middle of my street, in front of my house, and I'm asking how you been. I mean, he's obviously not just staying home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is no bad thing that Arpit's doing. I think he should be doing that. I should be biking by his house. We should, be able to spread out like that.
It's about making smart choices when you're
The point is, it's going to become more and more obvious that people are not religiously staying home anymore.
Right.
And we're now at that juncture where I'm seeing my best friend out in the middle of the street in front of my house, not even planning to, and there's this opportunity for him and his wife to come in and have a beer or wherever the fucking example is.
Right.
So as this bubble math changes, are some people going to get their PhD? Are people going to figure out how to do the next level of math, or are people just going to give up? Is the bubble math going to go away, and we're all just going to start taking risks?
I think you're going to see some people stay.
Put the mask on and just live your life again.
Some people are going to stay, and some people are going to break. And that's just what it's going to be. And we're going to get another spike.
I want percentages. What percentage of person?
49% are going to break.
I believe that.
It's
half and half.
It is. I think
do
it's
think it's the
49%.
mindset thing again. I think it's probably throwing out a standard deviation. Certain percentage of people are going to fall in that category.
I went into Jewel, was it like a couple weeks back, and I wore a mask and everything, and there were guys in there that weren't wearing a mask, and they were like, then this was a couple weeks back.
How old?
And they were older, like in their 50s, and they were like,
any resentment build in you?
No, I felt like they had resentment towards me, right? Like they were looking at me, and
wait,
they were
you
like,
had a mask on,
but they didn't, right?
Why were they resenting you?
It was more like one of these, like, like they were looking at me like, really, guy, you're wearing a mask.
Matt is like looking down his nose.
That's what I'm saying. Like I felt like they were judging me.
Judging you.
Oh, really? Like, do you really think you need a mask? And now you can't even go into the place without a mask.
Like you're not allowed to.
So there's people that think they're better than this, right? There are people that think that this is an overreaction, and there are people that are just waiting for even some people to break so they could just fully be back out and break, right? There's just people that don't believe in this.
Well, today's the day I think the signal is being shot into the sky. If a day was a flare, then May 2nd would be the flare showing that the coast is clear.
I mean, we see people over there, there are people out there. People are just out.
I should have at least been counting how many people went by. In doing this podcast, I'm sure we've been shooting 45 plus minutes now. I've seen at least 10 different groups of people walk by on this side of the street. Groups and people.
Right.
Sets.
And who knows?
A lot of twos, a lot of threes.
That might be their bubbles, but I would say no. I would say that there's people that are just breaking, right? And it's the same thing. It's your bubble's good? Well, my bubble's good, so we can just put our bubbles together, right?
I'm pretty fucking worried. I wasn't really thinking about how we are at that point in the curve where we would get cocky, where we naturally a month and a half ago were like, look, when you get to this point, don't let it all be for nothing.
Right.
Keep it going.
That's what Fauci's worried about. That's what Fauci keeps saying. Like, we gotta take it easy.
Because the stock market's still doing great. It's recovered tremendously, almost 30% since the lows. I think it's starting to tumble now, but without getting into my personal economic hang-ups.
I think
that's going to give people confidence. I think people have good portfolios. I think a lot of people got that check. I think people are going to be out.
The Paycheck Protection Program, which is a huge, great thing that I think they did, right? With the low cost loans to pay people's,
I think it was a fucking failure. I think they should have given the money directly to people.
I do too. I'm
burning it to the ground.
Okay.
No, I brought it up last time that I think they should have given the money individually to people. Everything I've seen about it since then, that it was going to large corporations.
Yes.
It didn't go out in time.
Yes.
It had to do with pre-existing banking relationships.
Yes.
To me, anyone who knows fucking anything about the real world would have seen that coming. And the fact that their policy was instituted in that way is horrific. I think they would have done a better job, issuing the checks.
You know my opinion. And I wish they would have just given that $2 trillion to the people, right? Because if you would have given that $2 trillion directly to the people, nobody would fucking care. Nobody'd care about the economy. Nobody'd be like, oh, we have to go back to work, right? All these people that are demanding to go back to work, if you got a check for, like they're doing in Canada, $2,000 a month for the duration, right? Do you think people would really be like, I have to go back to work when you're getting $2,000 a month and you feel safe and secure, right?
Look, what I was suggesting, it's basically the forced universal basic income experiment anyway. So
Yes.
I was advocating for more of that version than what's built in with institutions and having shareholders and having stakeholders in these companies. That's why the jobs were supposed to be protected, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was flowed through the companies. That's why the money was done that way, was to maintain those jobs. I personally don't think that's going to happen anyway. No. People can just maintain those jobs and then fire people the second the limitation burns out for that program.
Those airlines that got the bailout, and then they fired, what was it, 10% of the workforce they fired, even after getting the bailouts, right?
But I'm sure the government knew that had to happen. I'm sure the government's like, all right, how much money do you need?
But it's
crazy. Exactly how it went down.
It's crazy. But you're absolutely right. I just think that it was a.
There's companies that are not stopping their stock buybacks. I'm sorry, I just don't see any way outside of the U.S. picking winners and losers.
Yeah.
And then, conservatives are getting pissed off now saying they're not only picking the winners and the losers, they're just picking the losers. They're just choosing to save the companies that couldn't fucking hack it.
Right.
And now need to be saved. Every fucking restaurant's going to go under.
Yeah.
Unemployment's still going to skyrocket. This payroll protection thing is horseshit.
I don't know. My parents have a small business, and it's helped them out pretty tremendously. I've seen some instances where it's been helpful for some people, but I do agree that it didn't get to the right people.
I want that perspective. I'm not trying to be ignorant of that.
No, but I just think that there were some benefits of it. But if you really want absolutely.
Last time I mentioned the number one industry that got it was construction, and my dad was in construction, my whole life, and I want to advocate for those industries, and I want them to do well, but how it's all structured delicately matters.
Bullshit.
And you mentioned, your family's company. My question to you is whether or not the individuals employed by that company are better off with the money flowing through the payroll protection, paycheck protection, or whether it's flowing to them individually. How could you ever know? I understand. But you have a specific understanding of maybe seeing what went to them and, how it is going to play out long term. I mean, the thing is, right now people have not been laid off in full mass, meaning that there's 30 million people unemployed. There could be more. If everyone was laid off that wasn't working right now, people working remotely, all this and that. No one's working.
So people are furloughed, right?
It's ridiculous.
The guy, my neighbor, who's furloughed yesterday, we're talking. He wasn't fired, he was furloughed. So
once those numbers are actualized, what's going to happen then? Because right now, the stakeholders, I keep saying this, the people who have a lot of money invested are being enriched through the stock market as in one form. The government guaranteeing junk bonds and shitty fucking loans being another way, which encourages bad corporate behavior. But what is going to happen once they don't have those incentives anymore to keep people on the payroll? I think there's going to be fucking carnage. I think it's crazy. And I think it's crazy that all the trillions were already spent given to the companies that are going to fail.
That are failing.
That's what I think. I think it's all just going to be...
It's just anti-capitalism.
We're going to be in a war with a gun that has all the bullets that's been shot out of it. That's what's going to happen in a few months.
I mean, it's funny that it's like, well, we can't, we can't bail out...
I hope I'm wrong.
We can't bail out like states and local governments from dealing with all this, but we can give, what was it, like $6.7 million to the Lakers, the LA Lakers, who clearly need that money, right?
Pretty rough example, isn't it?
Right, but I mean that's one of the most obvious ones. And now there's the public shame has made some of these companies give back the money. Right, some of the companies have given back the money because they don't need it. But you're right.
I'm not upset at all with the companies. I'll say that. I'm not upset at all with the companies. Here's why. They're playing the rules of the game.
Right.
They're playing
the rules are
of the
set
game.
up for them in the long run to help them anyway. So they're just doing what they're supposed to do, right?
Dude, if I'm a fucking finance guy or I'm a grant guy at a nonprofit or whatever, if I'm in charge of trying to get my hands on funds that become available to me, and I can fill out some things or
low interest loans too, basically $7 million.
And to be clear, all the corporate people are just juicing thinking that they're going to be forgiven. You know what I mean? There are certain corporate entities, I'm sure they're going to be responsible to pay these back, but there are many that are just looking at this as free money.
This is free money,
100%.
Absolutely.
And so people are going nuts trying to get Lakers included. I don't blame them. I think the problem, again, is with the policymakers who designed it that way.
Yep.
You put a market cap max on there. I understand that you want to make it too complicated because actually part of the point of this is not making it complicated, not having too many rules for it too. Because supposedly that's a big part of the problem is now they have too many rules.
Oh, we need to get rid of regulations.
But this is all, again, to just giving the money to the individual. Everyone knows what to do with their money best.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't know why the Lakers get to decide, you know.
People feel more secure. How much more secure would people feel about staying home if their daily living situation was taken care of, right? But I understand that that's not it for everybody, right? People want to work because their work is their life, right? Like my small business, you know, I own a hair salon. That's my life. So if it you know what I mean? I could get my $2,000 or whatever, $4,000 over the next 3 months, but that doesn't, my business is my life. You know what I'm saying?
The universal basic income will make that thing more obvious than ever. That it's really not just about the income. It is about the purpose and the identity.
You got to have passion for what you do,
deal.
right?
They could start universal basic income tomorrow. Which plane is this, by the way? Can you see the...
Whoa, that's a big fucker, too.
You see the logo?
It looks like another Delta.
It kind of looked like American to me.
Really? I thought, oh, well.
Dude, that one's flying pretty low, by the way.
That was a big fucker.
Oh, quickly. I want to just... this long-term economic stuff, it is great. We're getting
fascinating. And you're
I hope I'm so fucking wrong. I really do.
No, I do
hope
too. I love listening to you about it because you're so much more knowledgeable about than I am. So I just like listening to your
I'm kind of
perspective.
obsessing about it right now because, you know, with what they're doing, printing money, with the fact that inflation isn't in existence, I don't see how I'm not going to now live my adult life with rampant inflation.
Right.
There's going to be some bite in the ass. There's no such thing as free money. Anyone that's shoveled, maybe I'm talking about doing landscaping work, cut my grass yesterday, you know, getting this lawn ready. Anyone spend 5 fucking minutes doing real work, you know, putting a shovel into the ground and lifting that dirt out of the ground. You realize that, like, labor, you know, wealth, money, it doesn't just come out of thin air.
No.
You can game the system and you can use leverage to extract. But at a certain point, there's a reality. Well, there is a ground that we all live on.
Right.
And with them printing money and just, you know, pumping trillions in and playing these games, I think they're rewarding bad corporate behavior. I think it now is not even going to be fully problematic maybe in the next 6 months like I've been doing.
Here's a weird question.
Prophesizing, but I think long term, my adult life, I'm going to have to deal with this shit. The cancer of inflation, that sort of shit.
Do you feel like billionaires should exist? Do you feel like billionaires should exist?
I think they can.
Do you feel that they're not?
But that's such a tough question. There's so few of them.
Do you think though they haven't? Like you said. Oh, so
yes, conceptually I do.
Labor, right? Labor costs something, right? To be a billionaire, how much labor, or do you think it's maybe the taking advantage of other people's labor to enrich your own self with their to become a billionaire?
I understand.
You know,
$1,000
million, right? Isn't that $1 billion?
Right. Taking advantage. You're getting to the territory where you're necessitating a forced employment agreement, right?
Right.
And I'm not trying to be all, you know, classic right-wing Milton Friedman, you know, thinking that, oh, it's totally up to you whether you work for this national conglomerate that has all the jobs in your town. I'm trying to be realistic about it, okay? Right. You know, bringing the old world of economics to the new world, whatnot. But I also don't think it's as easy as people always think it is, and I don't think it's as obvious as people who spout policy ideas always think it is.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, it's true.
Hopefully nothing terrible happens with the economy. We'll keep counting the airlines as we go by, and every time
those fucking airlines, they're big perpetrators of exactly what you're talking about. Corporate greed, buying back their stocks, all that shit to inflate stockholders.
Use any example. You can make the argument, you don't want them to go away because we want airplanes. I want an airplane, so yes, my tax dollars should be used
but you're propping up
save the airlines,
failing companies that are mismanaged.
How you do it matters.
Yeah.
It's not just whether you let them die or live, and it's not just whether you have unfettered capitalism or fully fettered capitalism, socialism, central planning, whatever you want to call it. It's how you do it. It's the percentage. It's the ratio. It changes over time. I think, you know, you need to build systems so that they can respond more in real time, that everything we have isn't so frozen and old school.
I'm more for regulations. I think you know,
we're both left leaning in the traditional politics right now. If anyone's, you haven't watched the 20 episodes before this, we're both classically
I'm a very
lefties.
I shouldn't say that because like the more I get older, I feel like there's some things that I'm just like, I'm not that left, right? But I feel like I'm very.
I just brought up Milton Friedman twice in 2 episodes, so
you're pretty.
I hear you there.
No, but
I think that's important if you're gonna have actual nuance in a conversation. Right. I'm trying to be educated too, and not just be.
I don't want to be like, oh,
ignorant.
I'm just a complete, straight up liberal. I won't listen to anything else but my crazy liberal ideas and all that kind of shit. But that's not how it is. I have a brain in my head. I just feel like
Yeah, that and it's annoying to say, but like I kind of aspire to not be a liberal or a conservative or to be any label in that way, because I think it just sort of roots you in the party. I don't think you can think as clearly.
Right. And I don't like that idea, like when people are like, are you a Democrat? I'm like, I don't. I mean, I definitely vote for one party over the other party, right? Yeah. But I wouldn't say that if I was given a great candidate that I believed in on the other side, I would do it, right?
Absolutely. I've been studying Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. Investors from Berkshire Hathaway, some of the most famous investors of all time. Warren Buffett, 89. Munger, I think, is 95 now.
Had a friend who used to trick-or-treat at Warren Buffett's house.
No
he
shit?
did, in fact, give full candy bars.
That's the shit.
Yeah. She lived in...
I think he owns Mars or something, so he better been given something on brand.
Makes sense. She lived in the town that he lived in, because he lives in... Omaha.
The Oracle of Omaha.
She was from Omaha, so she would go and then they'd go in the nice neighborhood, and he would, give her the candy and everything.
He famously still lives in like his old house, like
he's
in Omaha.
Yeah.
That's the shit. I think that's some realness right there. Living in your old original house, not just upgrading, not just having concrete, plasma this, plasma that. But Charlie Munger has been fascinating me more because I knew a lot about Warren Buffett before.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Charlie Munger.
I didn't either, but he kind of balances out Warren Buffett a little.
Okay.
He's sort of pessimistic.
Okay.
He's kind of more right-leaning, if I had to give the political orientation. Warren Buffett's more like left-leaning,
sure,
if I had to give that. But I found like a lot of sense in his sensibilities, because he's been around since the Great Depression on. He's seen all these things in American history.
Right.
He's an old man, not an old man, but he's
an experienced man. He's got statesman.
I was gonna say he was almost in his 50s, when like the 60s happened.
Jesus.
40s, 50s.
So how old is he now then? He's got to be in his 80s.
He's 95. Yeah, he was like Bud's age. My grandpa. He was like that old. He'd seen all those things.
Seen it all, man.
My grandpa was someone who had like prostate cancer, survived it in the 80s, and then I knew him for 30 years of my life.
Yeah.
So there's people that live just generations. They see it all. They're their expectations are curbed in a very healthy way.
Oh, yeah.
In a very healthy way. And I think that's where not getting too ahead of yourselves on deciding on policy or intervention comes in. Because once you've seen it all, and once you see it all go wrong, when you try to fucking get your fingers and hands and everything.
I think too that why people get more conservative as they age, because they've seen it all. They don't want to muck everything up too bad.
Also, I'm willing to admit it's just simply humans being more conservative, quote unquote, and scared and life preserving.
Right.
And the longer you've lived, the more you have to lose. So I think that's a big reason people become conservative too, which I actually think is logical. That actually makes sense.
It does. Absolutely.
When you have nothing to lose and you're young, of course it's like,
I want more. But then when you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you get there.
Even if you don't, if your life sucks, if you have 4 kids and 6, 7 grandchildren and you're part of this web, you just have to be more conservative. You can't drive your car at the same speed anymore.
No,
you can't vote for economic policy in the same way. It seems. I mean, time and time again we've seen this.
I've got 2 kids. My brain has changed, right? My concepts of like things. I'm a little bit more conservative, Back in the day, you'd see what young people do, right? You think about what young people do. You don't give a fuck what young people do, right? Honestly, right? Like, you don't care what 20-year-olds or teenagers are fucking doing with their phone. Me, that's all I think about. That's all I'm like, fuck. And then I get really like, wow, when I was that age, I was a lot more like, meh, hey mom, you just gotta let me do what I want to do, right? Like, watching my little brothers, right? You gotta just let them do what they want to do, man. And now I'm like, don't you fucking do that. I'm so much more
Did it happen slowly, or was it like a switch when you had children? Like the next day you were like, oh, this part of my brain turned on.
I definitely feel like,
or did you
my brain
practice
chemistry,
conservatism?
I feel like my brain chemistry shifted the minute I smelled my child. I felt like my brain just go protect this thing at all costs.
I believe it would be like threshold based.
Yeah,
like the neurotransmitters just get the signal. It's like, well, activate this gene, activate that parental gene.
Oh man, I definitely feel like it changed. But maybe it's been over time though. As she's grown up, and the closer she gets to that age where it's like things get dicey, I get like more and more nervous, right? Like right now, she's pretending to have a cell phone, and she's taking pictures and she's pretending, but she's like, "Daddy, I'm on the phone," and I'm like.
Okay, time out. Did you pull that line on her?
No. No, but yes, right. So it is. It
sounds
is
like mirroring if I've ever heard it.
It totally is mirroring. It's totally. What did I tell you earlier? I'm addicted to my phone, right? So she's now like sees me on my phone, and so she wants to know what a phone's about, and I don't, I'm not watching Trolls 2 for the third time. I'm like on my phone, right? Like
Trolls 2 World Tour.
Yeah, actually we haven't seen that yet. We're gonna see it soon. I just meant, whatever the movie is.
Dude, our fans are really into Trolls. Next time you bring up Trolls, you better bring the heat.
We got one fan who's into it, I'm sure,
you best bring that heat.
I
have a question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna let Clementine watch this podcast on her fake cell phone, or is she not old enough to watch a fake podcast on a fake phone?
She's already said she's watching me on her phone. She's already been like, "Look, Daddy, you're on the podcast," and I was like, because she loves it. She's like, like when she first saw it, she was like, "Yo, you are on YouTube? How did you get on YouTube,
Hell
Daddy?"
yeah.
You know what I mean? She was like so blown away. How did you get on YouTube?
Time out. Is she blown away because she doesn't understand conceptually how that happens, or because she's tried to post on YouTube, you've gotten mad at her and say, "There's no posting"?
No,
and
she's
like,
sick.
"What the fuck? You've been
She's
posting?"
not at that level yet. She
Okay.
doesn't. She didn't understand the concept of how easy it is to post to YouTube yet.
Okay.
But when she realizes, then I'm in trouble, because then she's gonna want to like all these other kids, these young girls that are posting like dance videos and all this stuff to YouTube, and you just throw it out there, and who knows who's fucking watching that, right? There's just, and that bothers me. It's that shit that bothers me.
Let's talk about that, because we're doing that with this.
What was that? I'm sorry, one more time. Sorry. My ears are getting real sweaty.
Yeah, these headphones are not built for the outdoors. We're getting close, so hang in there.
Oh no, I could go all day.
No, it's a sweaty factor though. It's a major sweaty factor. But does this matter with you and this podcast? The fact that this is going out there, anyone can just fucking watch this.
You know what? It's
How does this make you feel? Because conceptually, it's similar. Although I will say, with another individual with consent, there's another thing. So with your daughter, she really doesn't know what she's doing yet.
No, exactly. She's not of an age where she understands what she's doing or what privacy things she's giving up. Me, on the other hand, I feel like there not many people watch this, which.
Right.
It's kind of comforting, you know what I mean? I feel like
is it going to change if all of a sudden 1,000 people start watching this? Right now,
hopefully that's
probably 4 people are watching this.
It
Me,
amps
you,
it up.
and then the 2 people we can each convince every week to watch it.
It's like one of those things that, now, hopefully, like 50 people are watching it. 100 people are watching. Okay, well, it should hopefully amps up or my anxiety lessens as we go. But that doesn't mean I don't self-censor, right? That first episode,
I do a little too. Yeah.
That first episode, I was a little bit more freewheeling. You know what I mean?
I was too. In some ways. I think the problem has been, if there's a problem, quote unquote, right? We're still figuring out how to do this. This is like an experiment in progress in real time. But the problem has been, like, I'm starting to do an impression of a podcaster. I feel like that's been a problem. Like, I feel like that's what I want to do differently, rather.
Yeah.
I would rather actually start to still morphing the format a little. Obviously, I'm not being full fundamentalist about this, because I don't have like a theme song.
No, yeah.
I'm not that crazy about names. And intro this and intro that, but there are certain elements that I care about it. But in terms of positioning, how long it lasts, how it's shot, format.
The way I always think this, I think of it is a podcast, but it's more just, a conversation where we kind of take it where we want to get, right? And it's usually revolves around like temporal thing, like what's happening in the current day and what we're doing now, right?
Sure.
Like it's not like I feel like a lot, I don't know. You're right. I don't necessarily want to pretend to do a podcast.
No. How does this change when it starts to become less just me and you, like keeping track of history, the visual diary for our family or whatever? Me and Matt are cousins. Or
right. I was going to say conversation with my cousin.
Versus people actually seeing this and like people watching this. Do you feel like I don't know. Do you see it just for sure making you more conservative, like you will as you age, as you have more children and get older, or can you see maybe yourself becoming freer once you get different feedback from the format?
Yes.
Once people are like, you guys are being fucking fake. You guys are being too safe.
See?
You guys are not swearing enough. You guys are swearing too much.
Right. See, I don't necessarily know if I would actually listen or give a shit, right? Because if people are starting to listen to us and our viewers go up and they listen to us, we're obviously doing it right anyways. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know necessarily if we have to change. But if it's like, James, all of that financial talk, that's really making me want to listen. All of that knowledge you have about that and that opinion maybe we'll start talking more about that, or that might become something that, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we just need to lean into more of what, A, we both like talking about.
Yeah.
And then B, like, I don't always think that necessarily, like, listeners' opinions matter. You know what I mean?
I fully agree. Yeah. I'm creating for myself. That's what I've learned is what people are generally doing. If you want to stay on track, have some taste, have an opinion for what you want to see, and then try to execute that in the work that you do.
I'm not really doing this for them, right? I'm doing this for like myself, you know what I mean? Like, this is something that I'm doing more because I want to do it. I'm not necessarily doing it because the adulation of the fans, and I need, you know what I mean? I want people to view this. But I think that if eventually we do get to that point where there are a lot of people viewing this and watching this, I think that it might make me freer. I think I would be a little bit more freer, and because obviously people are interested in us and our personalities, right? And I would feel less like I'm pretending.
Trying to balance, like, quote unquote, if people see this, if we get quote unquote bigger, that's validating, right? And that's kind of a green light to open up, to become free.
Yes.
But I can also see it as being something
I fucking missed it. I was trying to look.
I was
like,
I couldn't see the label on that one. We can at least, by the way, this is the first time I can say, if anyone's listening at home, I'm not going to have the time to do this, but if you have any idea what the frequency is between these planes going overhead, please hook us up in the comments.
Oh, that'd be real fun, right?
Besides your adulation, as Matt mentioned that you were giving us constantly.
Constant adulation.
Give us some stats. Give us some data.
I exist solely on your love that you're giving me right now.
Time will tell, man. We'll see how much we become podcast conservative or podcast liberal. I do think that our first episode, in a way, was the most liberal.
It was. It super was.
Because then when you do the second, third, fourth, you have to at least stick to your own script.
Yeah.
Which, for what it's worth, you don't have to stick to a script.
I don't feel like I just don't, the first couple episodes.
You lean back a little more.
I was talking about finger banging and shit like that, right? Being real crass. I feel like I sound fuck every other word.
1 hour of pleasant conversation is complete. Please return to your coronavirus isolation lifestyles.
Oh, okay.
That was our signal.
That was it, right?
I had to record that earlier.
I just feel like to wrap it up, I guess I just feel like I realize that's not necessarily the personality that I want to project, right?
No.
I'm taking this seriously, so if I'm taking this seriously, I'm not. It's like getting the drunk thing. For a while I was drinking before we were doing this. Like I was like, I get it, just a little shot, let me loosen up, and then I was like, but I was like, after a while I was like, I don't like that version. You know what I mean? I want to actually have like a real, get to levels where I'm not like,
Dude, I so fucking agree with you, and I'm so glad you brought up specifically the consumption of alcohol, because basically we're doing, again, that impression of a podcast thing. It's like, we're supposed to have a drink, right?
Smoke a little bit, drink, because it's a party, right? It's like a freewheeling thing.
Right, because this is supposed to be like a hangout type atmosphere. And usually it was Friday night. We originally were doing these Friday night.
Yeah.
But the coffee too, even like be caffed up, get yourself in the right headspace to be able to communicate and talk in an interesting way.
Which I still really do like drinking that coffee.
But at first, we got a little liquored up, or we had just literally, I was having one drink before. So just to quote unquote take the edge off, or really to do the impression of what you need to do podcasting.
Yeah.
But we found out that's not even what we wanted.
No.
That wasn't even our vision.
No.
So we shouldn't be doing this impression. We should be doing it the way
we want to do it.
To perform at the highest level. Obviously, that's not inebriated.
Right. I just felt like, especially when we were doing 2 a night at that time too. So you'd see after that second one, I would be like, wow, I'm slurring my fucking words right now.
Yeah, for anyone that's curious, those early ones, we were really just lifting podcast weights. Those were not fully approved productions.
We just were practicing.
And in all fairness, I originally was just saying, like, I'm just going to put them on YouTube, just to check them, just so we make sure, we know how it came out, whatever. And I never stopped doing it that way. Like, there's no reason to switch off of the practice model. Like, I'm just going to practice.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though.
Over and over.
I think we're finding our way. Yeah. But I think we're mostly on the same page. Well, I shouldn't say mostly. I think we're on the same page about it. I never think there's not been a situation where you're like, what? I'm not down with that, or like, no, I need to get litty for this fucking shit,
No, we do not need that. And it's funny, we're talking about this on the 21st episode because we joked around about drinking for the 21st episode.
Oh my God,
and we kind of like forgot and didn't even do it.
Oh my God, right? That was the whole thing. Well, 21st because it's legal to drink, so we're just gonna get hammered, right? No. See, we're not about that life anymore.
We're not. No, but the thing is, I think you can still have the loose episodes. This is a drunk special, so to speak, right? Because I think there is value in those mindsets.
Absolutely.
I just, of course, doesn't necessarily need to be your default programming.
No. Well, what is this? Is this an informative thing? Are we just having a conversation? Are we trying to enlighten people? You know what I mean? I think we realize that we're not just fucking around. I don't want to have just like a retarded, whoopsie.
Wow.
I know. It's
I thought you were intentionally doing it because we just talked about like.
It wasn't. I did not mean to say the word retarded, but I said retarded.
You're fucking subconscious. You just got on mic, man.
Right?
Your subconscious is on mic.
I know. It's like I just don't want it to be stupid. You know, I want to say something. I want when people listen to this to take away something, or at least feel that that somehow slightly, you know, higher mindset.
No, I want it to have value too.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, and this ties back to doing it for ourselves, but something that you do for yourself often can still be useful or advantageous to others.
Like, I don't give a fuck what you think, but if you take something of value, that's what I want. You know, that's what I want.
Yeah. That's a big deal. And that's why I've actually just in general tried to be better about posting things.
Yeah.
Because I've been shooting and recording things for fucking years. I just don't share anything. I don't put anything out there. I'm getting the same fulfillment.
Right.
It's just, in a way, I'm robbing people in my life, even close people in my life, from knowing things about me. I'm just like not sharing these things I spend time on and do this and that on. So I'm starting to build a model where I'm still living the same fucking life I lived before. Where now I'm just being more open with it and trying to just build a conduit between my actions in the world, because I know privacy is dead anyway. And if you want to see what I'm up to,
here you go.
Take a fucking look.
And what if somebody finds extreme value in what you do and wants to like...
Right, it's lost utility. That was the point. I didn't finish that off. A lot of these videos right now, they do not have a lot of views on them. And that's, you know, take it or leave it. It doesn't matter. I'm still doing it. It's our process.
Same.
But there could be utility in these conversations.
Yes.
Maybe people get some sort of camaraderie from us talking outside. They miss being outside. They miss being with people.
Just listening to people talk that have somewhat something to say about, you know, I want to listen to somebody with a more layman's approach to coronavirus.
Right.
You know, like what we're talking about is more like the day-to-day stuff. It's not necessarily scientific. There's nothing scientific about the Rona that we're talking about. This is more just the feelings that we feel about it from our perspectives.
I'm wildly speculating on the economy,
I
and
love
on
it.
healthcare outcomes. And
the savagery of the economy.
I'm trying to be more open in that way. I'm trying to do that more often because... you know, what the fuck is this for? I have the whole rest of the world saying normal by the book stuff. Like, we're supposed to kind of get with it, right? We're supposed to dig in and ask big questions and, you know, have funky observations, because maybe some of them end up being true.
Right.
And, you know, this life that ends up getting carved out will be a reflection that we've been able to prophesize more clearly.
Prophesize, and then to process, right? Process it, being able to communicate to somebody about it, right? And again, that's what people probably get, you know, like, oh, I can... helps them process the world around them too, right? Hearing it, listening to two people talk about it, you know, it's like, it doesn't sound so crazy sometimes, you know, when you have these crazy thoughts about coronavirus and the bubble talk and all that stuff. And then you talk to another human being who experience it, and it's like, oh, this is all normal. This is all fucking normal right now. You know, this feels normal.
I have one more question.
Yeah, let's go.
You mentioned Clementine and how she had seen your podcast or seen this podcast.
Right.
Did you actually let her watch it?
No, absolutely not. No. Okay. Oh my God, no. No. She just, you know, it was like, I wanted to show Randy, and Randy, shout out, who doesn't watch this at all, which I think is hilarious.
Hey, that's all good.
I don't even think she doesn't want to watch it.
Shavana doesn't need to watch this.
Yeah,
she gets me at home.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I think that's more what it is. She's like, I hear your bullshit enough. I don't need you.
In some ways, it makes the most sense for people you know to watch your podcast. In a lot of ways, it makes the least sense. Because people have heard, you know, you spout these things before.
Nobody cares, right? She knows my left-leaning craziness. She doesn't need to hear me shit, you know, talking about... I already talked to her about Space Jam, but no, I did not show her. I just showed her like a clip of it, right? And I think like I fast forwarded to a part in the podcast, and of course I said fuck. I think right away, and so she's like, "Daddy," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, no more of this."
Okay, I'm glad I got one story out of you for that.
But like, you know, I just wanted to show her like I love the way your garage, and I like the way this is set up, so I wanted to show a couple of clips of it. You know, like this is the setup, right? Like, 'cause I like this, right? I like this. You know, it's nice.
I like this too, Mom.
So
I like this a lot.
This is fun. Like, honestly, I could just keep going. But, you know.
Well, yeah, we'll see you all later.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Later,
I think we got out without any technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So we'll just shoot for 6 more months outside. See ya.
Later. 6 months. That's it. We're gonna start doing this in winter too, right?
Outdoors?
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. That's.
Oh my God. Okay, bye everyone.